Hello, my name's Ted Lederer, and you're watching another episode of It's All About Art. And today we're in conversation with painter Doug Robinson. We're at his home. Doug, thank you for having us here today. Nice to see you. So Doug, you've got an upcoming exhibition at the Elliott Lewis Gallery, and it's from October 21st to November 8th, and the show is called Wonderland. You're a dying breed of painter. You actually paint realism and a little bit of magic realism and maybe surrealism. How would you describe your works?
It is a type of realism, and sometimes it's surreal, sometimes it's magic realism. This piece here is what you call magic realism, and what that means is that it looks like it could be real, but it probably isn't. If you look at it really closely, you'll see there's all sorts of structural elements. This Ferris wheel couldn't stand up by itself the way it's painted. It would just fall over. It has no supports. This ring of lights around here has nothing supported. There's just a wheel in the middle of the air. It's not possible.
Now, you've done that because you felt that compositionally it was better to take out the struts and to take out the supports?
They just got in the way. There's a painting from the Impressionist period in which I think it's called the Absinthe Drinker. And if you look carefully at it, you'll see that there's a table with a glass of absinthe on it.
Right.
And there's nothing holding the table up, it's just the tabletop. So sometimes having, all the things that actually make it function aren't really necessary.
I know that your painting is really well thought out, and there's a lot of geometry to the painting as well. So maybe talk to us just a little bit about some of the principles you put behind the painting that we, the viewer, don't see consciously.
Yeah, well, this is a golden rectangle here. I guess it'd probably be easier to talk about how it actually functions. If you take the rectangle, like this is a golden rectangle here, and you take a square out of it, and you remove this square, the piece that is left is in exactly the same proportion as the original rectangle.
Okay.
Within this particular mathematical configuration, there is a natural spiral which is found all through nature, and it would work. It would go approximately like this, and it would finish off right about here on this particular one. Or if you can't start from that end, it would end up about here.
Why is the geometry? Because geometry plays a large part in your paintings, although the viewer won't necessarily consciously get it. Why is it so important to you? Why has it been so important in your painting career?
Oh, well, I've always liked mathematics, but the mathematics really are not important. It's just that I found that when you use these mathematical premises, that the paintings end up seeming well proportioned and balanced. In other words, the viewer finds them pleasing if you use these particular tried and true formulas. There's nothing magical about them particularly.
Right. So it really is just because compositionally it makes it appealing to the viewer.
It's a Western aesthetic. The Parthenon was based on the golden rectangle. We've just used these systems over and over again, and so to the Western sensibility, these seem like good proportions.
And it's interesting that you've chosen an acrylic medium. Was there a reason for choosing acrylics over oils?
Yeah, it's just harder.
It's just hard. Okay, now I love this. This is great because people are going to be watching this saying, "No, wait a second. What do you mean acrylics are harder?"
Oh, oil is just a lot easier to paint with. It dries very slowly, which means that you can just keep working the thing till you get it right. Whereas with acrylic, you have to get it right fairly quickly, or you can wait for it to dry and go over it. But you can't mix colors on a continuous basis, which you can with oil. Like something like this. Technically, as only an acrylic painter would sort of wonder, for instance, how you get such a smooth graduation from the dark blue here to the light blue.
Yes.
And there's no streaking at all. It's a very almost perfect blend. Now, how do you do this with a paint that dries in 90 seconds?
Skin color is another, very difficult thing to achieve, particularly with acrylics. And you're using some complementary colors, like you'll put reds and purples and greens in where you wouldn't think that they belong, and yet to the viewer it reads as skin tone.
That's right. That sometimes by putting colors that you wouldn't really normally associate with skin or anything else, you can trick the brain into seeing what you want it to see.
There's a piece in the show entitled Pork and Rabbit, which is a real, maybe you could talk to us a little bit about that piece.
Now, I really don't know why you like that piece so much. Pork and Rabbit is mostly with primary colors, but the central figure in it, which is the foreground figure, is actually all in black, and this is almost like an exact opposite of what one would normally do.
Yeah, it defies the convention.
Right.
Right, and he's got his back to us, to boot.
Right.
You have a couple of paintings of a nude actually standing in the Vancouver Art Gallery, and there's the obvious humor of it. I mean, here's a nude woman standing in the art gallery. I think this is the Van Art Gal does the G7, and she's looking at a painting, and the nude is looking back at her from the painting, and nobody else is paying attention.
Well, when I was really young, I always knew that if you wanted to see naked ladies, you could go to the art gallery. So, like, there's certainly that's part of the joke. But then there's all sorts of other ideas too, like, you know, like a recurring kind of a dream that a lot of people have about being naked in their dreams, but nobody can see that they're naked.
Right.
And then the other thing is that in both those paintings, nobody's paying any particular attention to this nude woman. It's almost like she's invisible to the people around her.
Is that because she's in an art gallery and people just expect nudity in art galleries?
Well, sure.
But
It's acceptable there.
It's acceptable, and you can make up your own narrative to it.
Right, that's right.
We talked about these paintings being a Rorschach test. There's a very interesting history to this piece and people's reactions to it. What happened with this particular image, and it was being shown in a public space?
Oh, it was, they asked to take it down, like somebody was extremely offended by it.
They were offended by the piece?
Right.
And did they tell you why they were offended?
The people who asked me to take it down said that somebody was really offended by it, and they didn't feel that this should be in a place where children were around.
Isn't that amazing?
The piece itself is absolutely neutral.
Right.
The offense was in their mind, and that's what an image like this brings out.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're, but it leads to that your paintings evoke that in people. So I'm curious, as the painter, what do you want the viewer to take away from these paintings?
To me, a good painting reveals itself slowly. We're used to a culture where most images that one's presented you get in 5 seconds or you walk away from it. These are images that you can live with for a long time and still begin to see different things in them.
Right.
And they're calculated to do that.
We really appreciate having the opportunity to speak to you today, and I look forward to the exhibition. My name is Ted Lederer. You've been watching another episode of It's All About Art. We've been in conversation with painter Doug Robinson. We will see you again shortly. Bye for now.
Bye now.